The article I reviewed was a Canadian study looking to find the correlation between school leadership and the way that affected classroom emergence of new technologies. This study had a sample size of 10 teachers interviewed, all from different school districts. There was 8 school districts participating in the study, so a couple of them did repeat districts. But the study sought to find the effectiveness of technology based on leadership from the following areas, from the teacher role, the administration role, from the school board and district roles, and from the government and other community sources as well. Taking a look at teacher leadership first. In the study, the teachers were interviewed, and the majority agreed that these were the factors that reduce the potential of emerging technologies in the classroom. The first one was inadequate focus in teacher education programs at the undergraduate level, that there was not enough time spent on these new technologies that in their learning. Um, the second one was limited access to not only technology devices, but to new programs, softwares, and hardware, limiting planning time to learn, and professional isolation, not having enough time to learn with colleagues to explore new ideas. Along with the teacher leadership, here are some of the factors that increase the potential of emerging technologies in the classroom. Uh, Positive leadership from school principals and pioneer teachers, leadership activities that included collaboration with other teachers as well as administration, participating in web-based forums at the collegiate level to expose new technologies, and research projects sponsored by the Department of Education. As far as the study went, another aspect that was looked at was the importance of leadership by the administrators. And these were some of the factors that the 10 teachers interviewed um, expressed as some positive ways that administrators and principals were able to engage more emerging technologies in their classroom. The first one was to simply have access to technology by providing that opportunity of simply having the devices. Differentiating professional development opportunities that allowed students to, teachers to, those that had more of an expertise. They, didn't have to sit through basic technology classes and things like that. They were able to expand and really take what they already knew and tailor that to what their need was. And on the other side of the spectrum, those teachers that needed a little more nurturing as far as not knowing much about technology, they were able to have professional development opportunities that tailored that need for beginners. Um, the third factor was having a supportive school board and district that would allow such things as far as policy and implementation of plans to come through. And once again, government, as far as curriculum guides go, those helped with providing roles to those principals and administrators to really be leaders in the classroom. Another source of where leadership came from in the sense of emerging technologies is through the school board and district leaders. In this study, very few had positive things to say about the school district. Only 8 of the 10 teachers were critical of the school district in regards to the implementation of technology. Some of their concerns were that the policies were overly restricted. in regards to student involvement. So where students were able to access internet and have the opportunity to use it's often limited so much, with websites being blocked that it really hinders the student-centered learning when they don't have access to a lot of those things. Another one was the access and rules and the policies regarding personal device access. Bring your own device. Not many districts allowed this, and because they don't always have the funding to provide their own, the school district doesn't have the funding to provide devices for all these students, not allowing to use their own can really limit that student involvement and that those new teaching tools that can be used through the implementation of technology. Another big concern found by the teachers that were interviewed were that the school districts are generally very slow to act, and that's in regards to putting plans in place that are based on technology, as well as just upgrading and implementing the new technologies. By the time something is implemented, it's probably time to already change it, and it's just not teachers aren't able to reach their full potential to their students because of this slow action. The last one where leadership roles were found was through the government, and this was based off and this can be very relatable to us in the United States as well, but as this was based in Canada, this is focusing on the different provinces there. But teachers were critical and positive of the government leaders and rules. The biggest concern was towards outdated curriculum and those guides that they didn't allow for the use of new technologies and were just so outdated that new curriculum needed to be written in order to facilitate these new technologies. However, a positive role that the government plays is they are supportive of grants and department sponsored programs that allow teachers to either gain training of new technologies or have the opportunity to present some funding to get new technologies for the classroom. Overall, this study, um, the concerns that were constantly overlaid were the limited access of devices, which is not new. Um, that is something that teachers everywhere, not only in Canada but in the United States, have a problem with as well. In my opinion, it always comes back to there's all of these wonderful ideas that I can use to engage student learning, but I just don't simply have the access to those things. Um, as a specific example, I used to work at a school district that they're constantly emerging technologies into the classroom, but it was limited in the sense that, okay, we were a one-to-one iPad, not school district, but we're a one-to-one device room. So, there might have been two classes out of a 25 section school that had this one-to-one iPad or device opportunity, where that was great for those students and those teachers. Those other classes are missing out on that opportunity. And although I know that those things, you kind of have to dip your toes a little bit as far as the devices go, you can't, with funding and just to pilot programs, there has to be a slow implementation of this. But it also does not create and provide the same opportunities as for the other students. Another another factor that was really stressed in this study was the the limitation of education as far of technologies and teacher education programs. And I think it's probably I mean, this study was done in 2014, and um, it did not say what the age of the teachers were, but I graduated from college in 2012, and my undergrad I did in 2012, and I think I had to take one technology class, and it was very basic processing that, things I already knew. Basic applications, web applications, nothing that was new and innovative. So I can definitely relate and understand to that. And it wasn't until I'm in my graduate coursework, through your earlier class and just throughout my coursework here, that I've been more exposed to some of that stuff. Um, I love technology, and most of my prior to my graduate work, it was my use of technology in the classroom was based on things that I discovered on my own just because of an interest. So, more of a focus on in those teacher education programs can really help and benefit both, teacher performance and student engagement. Another factor of concern is the rapid change of pace of technology. That's something that is always going to be a factor because they're, just as soon as one thing comes out, a new thing's already going to be there, and you're always going to be a step behind. So it's just a matter of how do I cope with that, and how do I make that, adapt and be able to make those changes for that. Um, Other factor was professional development. There's either not enough opportunities or opportunities that are not, excuse me, that are not meaningful, where it's a waste of time. So creating, whether it's web forums or learning from those other teachers that are already implementing that in your classroom, that can help to create a more cohesive teaching environment. I know being a younger teacher in my school districts, I've always kind of been on the edge of technology, and I've kind of been a pioneer to my other colleagues, and those that have they're a little more seasoned. Some of that stuff doesn't come as easy to them, and so I've kind of acted in a leadership role in that way. And so I think that we can all kind of learn from that, or at least have a sense of, somebody there that's able to collaborate and help with us. And then another big factor, and I can relate to this as well, is school principal leadership. If you have a principal that is, they're willing to, they're willing to try these things, and they're knowledgeable of those things, you're going to have your school district, you as a teacher are going to have more access and more of a support to have those emerging technologies. I think one of the biggest things too is if you have a principal that's interested in those things and is actually using and familiar with the technology, at an end result, you're going to be better off in a more innovative way. Um, so these are just some of my, um, from this article, or from this study, some of the main factors that I think influence the classroom uses of technology and where those leadership roles are coming from.